Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent, live from the Atzenhofer studio, where we are every single
weekday.
Yes, from 7 until 8 Central Time.
Have we become an old married couple that we
finish each other's sentences?
Yeah. We just did twice in the first 30 seconds of the program.
It's going to be a good show. Ricky King, Scott Tomko, Scott Snow on the podium this morning.
Marvin Mickish, Patrick Strauss, Cody Bauman. I was going to say looking for our first woman. There's Cody. Linda Christ right underneath is what I meant. Cody identifying this morning as a woman.
David Glass, Crystal Mapp, Tim McKeeling. Good morning, everybody. Glad you're all here. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Hayfeed and Ranch Services. As Brett wears his test pattern shirt this morning.
It is. Hopefully you guys see blue and white stripes. I see a kaleidoscope on the screen. 78 degrees under sunny skies in Victoria, Texas, heading to a high today of only 95. That's all. And by the way, the temperatures, the highs for the next 3 days, 95, 95, 96, 97, 97, 93, 97, 97, 96. More than 3 days. That's all the way out into next week. I was wrong about something, and I'm not trying to jump straight into the First State Bank of Louise Astros update. See that far window? That's a little bit hot. I think is that better?
Just your headphones.
Could be. Sounds great. Okay. I like it. When Jeremy Pena came back, I said, "Oh, Andrew, you see a blur for everything." When Jeremy Pena came back, I said on this program, don't be surprised if this Astros team wins 10 in a row. Well, they've now won 6 out of 7. They won 4, dropped 1, and have won the last 2. And they did so last night in exciting fashion. Yordan Alvarez hit a monster shot, 80 mile per hour bat speed, 29-degree launch angle, 107 exit speed, and the ball went into the second deck. And the 800 fans that were in Anaheim.
Second deck shot at Anaheim is a pretty good shot.
And they were in awe. And the stadium was quiet. He hit it so far and so hard. But it is worth noting a couple of things. Astros fans are spoiled. We are spoiled beyond measure and blessed beyond measure with this team. Yordan Alvarez is having an MVP type season. He played a little left field last night. He DH'd. He hits a bomb. He also, in the top of the ninth with 2 outs, collects an RBI single that propels the Astros to a 3-2 win over the California Angels. In the midst of that,
LA Angels of Anaheim.
Whatever. They're in California. I just dumbed it down because I'm dumb. Also hitting a really big home run over both bullpens and into the stands was Christian Walker. Where are you on Walker personally? His average isn't that high, but he's got some. Look up his stat line maybe and see what he's doing.
He's kind of been the quiet guy this year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but he gets it done, Altuve played second, made a couple of routine plays. I've been concerned about Jose Altuve. I accept that he's getting older, but he's not any older than Isaac Paredes, who is, to me, playing at an all-star level.
Christian Walker's hitting 235, which is kind of where
that's kind of pedestrian, but how many home runs does he have?
21.
Oh, so he's got 50 hits and 21 of them are home runs.
And 62 RBIs.
He's not having a bad season. 21 and 62 is a major league starter.
Yeah, he's producing. He's top 27. He's tied for 27th in the major leagues.
That means, there's 30 teams, so you do the math. He's right there.
Yeah.
He's
his career batting average is 247, so it's not like he's, and he's hit 238 last year and 235 this year. So average-wise, you know what you're getting.
That's right. But I'll take the 21 homers and the 62 RBIs. And he is a guy, he's a right-handed bat in that lineup, that if you make a mistake.
And he's on pace for a couple hundred strikeouts this year.
He will make you pay. He does strike out. Bless his heart. Yeah. Astros win, Astros win, Astros
Yeah,
win.
he's a throwback to the first baseman that used to play in the game, like Rob Deere and guys that Dave Kingman, guys that just would hit it a mile, but when they didn't,
Kingman.
the wind from their swings could cause
Where did
hurricanes.
Kingman play?
Mets, I remember him with the Mets.
Yeah, he hit monster shots. That was back when Kingman was with the Mets when Davis was with the Astros.
Kong, they called him.
Yeah.
Dave King
King Kong.
Yeah, something like that.
So I want to jump in just because being antagonistic is interesting. It's what makes the show interesting. And Ash yesterday politely, ever so politely, kindly reached out to Jewel Buchanan, the head of the Democrat Party of Victoria County. And Jewel sent back that she didn't know she could call because the last time she called, Brent lost his marbles. And I'm just going to be honest. Maybe it's because I base my memory on substance, but I don't recall Jewel Buchanan ever calling this program. And I challenge you to remember any subject we may have discussed where Jewel Buchanan either A, identified herself as Jewel Buchanan. She may have called and ranted in some incoherent tone and gotten the wrath. That could happen. If you're stupid and you call up here, you may get bombed on. But I don't believe, was Woodrow Wilson Wagner ever on the program as head of the Democrat Party?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know that lady didn't call up here and identify herself as the head of the Democrat Party and leave here with a bad taste in her mouth. That did not happen. No. The only people I can remember, we used to have the drunk lady. The drunk lady used to call, but it's obvious now she's become a fan. She used to call,
she's dead.
She may have died. Do you remember the drunk lady, folks, when she used to call and go,
call us idiots or something?
It was like talking to Joe Biden. And then there was that crazy purple-haired broad that ran against AJ Louderback. And she was a nut job. You remember her?
Yeah, we didn't.
Stephanie Baskin. Yeah, she called. And we ended up being friends. So, Stephanie, I know you're probably listening. I just called you a nut job. That was you as a candidate. As a person, you're a nice person. I sat with her in Bloomington when they discussed their water situation. She and I had a lot that we agreed upon in that meeting. She was a nice lady.
But we challenged her ideas as a candidate. We didn't get into anything personal, but
I might have gotten into the purple hair. I think I might have gotten into the purple hair.
But if I remember that conversation, it was her ideas were just
nutty.
They were hard to grasp and hard to.
Hello, John Paul Hull. You may also recall that Jewel Buchanan was the outspoken. See, you can be ignorant and I can educate you. But if you're ignorant and you start going to a keyboard, then you're going to catch the wrath. You can be stupid and keep it to yourself. But when the comments were made a while back, I don't remember. Oh, I know what it was. I do know what it was. It's worth mentioning. And it gives me a chance to welcome all the great listeners at Magic 95.9. Brother Gary Moses, today is the brother man's birthday.
And the county declared today Brother Gary Moses Day.
They can't do enough, right? Give him the key to the city. Yeah. The brother man service will be today. You can go beginning at 3:00 to the soon to be named Brother Gary Moses Community Center. The service, as formal as it will be from 4 to 5-ish. And then there's a chance to linger and visit afterwards. So 3 to 7, the community center will be open for you to pay your respects to the brother man. But Brother Gary and the Hall of Famer Ralph Salazar Sr. were on the air, and somebody said something. Now, we're on Magic, a typically Latino-based Hispanic Tejano music station, and you have, although the Ralph Salazar's got so much money, he's probably identifies as Spanish. Now, you take a Mexican and give them a ton of money, they become Spanish. But Ralph said something about, hey, brother, You better bring your papers because, you know, the government's going to be checking your papers. And the next thing you know, that got attributed to us.
Yeah.
And Wade and Carter being racist. They're being racist.
And the funny thing, everybody that was chiming in didn't even listen.
And Jill Buchanan, who at the time didn't listen to the program, said, yeah, that sounds like something they would say.
Yeah.
Now, when you start judging a book by its cover, when you start stereotyping entire groups of people, you are the racist. You are the problem. So Jewel did get called out for her ignorance. By the way, Jewel never apologized for maligning us. Now, at the time, she was not a public figure because I believe Woodrow Wilson Wagner was still the head of the Democrat Party.
Yeah, either that or they might have been floundering and looking for somebody to take over the party. I don't know.
But now she's fair game. But
so
now,
I reached out yesterday and just said, hey, I'd like you to, call into the show or even come by the show.
Why don't you just read it? It was super polite. Let's listen to Ash.
Good morning, Jewel. Since you're chair of the Victoria County Democratic Party, I'd like to extend an invitation to call into the Wade and Carter show and gave the number 361-894-4020 to talk about the party's concerns over data centers because she's been all over social media on that. So I wanted to talk about that. The local candidates on the ballot in November and the rise of the socialist communists within your party. We're hoping for a healthy civil conversation. Thanks, Ash. And then she said, the last time I called into your show, Brent lost his marbles, screaming at me and would not actually let me respond. So
I doubt it.
Not sure civil discourse with me is in his wheelhouse. And then she went on about data centers and how it's bipartisan, but never did answer the question
but it's allowed,
about whether to call in.
Read the part about it's allowed her to share her feelings with people. It means a lot to me that she's comfortable.
However, I appreciate the invitation. The data center issue is huge, and it is bipartisan. I'm involved with many groups that are bipartisan, and some are led by Republicans in the area. These people realize that we all need water to drink, and we're all going to have to work together to save our farmland and our communities.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed getting to know these people, and they consider me a friend.
They consider her a friend, and that's so important.
I feel like data centers are going to be the issue that creates connections and mends the rift between many of us. I disagree.
I disagree 100%. Now, here's the deal. So Jewel is bipartisan, meaning Jewel can work with Republicans, and Jewel apparently can also work with the communists. She didn't say anything to denounce, not one mention of the communist, openly communist, in her party's midst. I want to ask Jill Buchanan straight up, why are you going to vote for James Tallarico? Is it his stance on multiple genders for people? Is it his stance on abortion? Is it his stance on government's involvement in our day-to-day lives? What about James Tallarico endears him to you? That's what I want to ask Jewel. I want her to give me the Democrats' perspective. And by the way, if you're a voter in this county, I think she owes it to you to step out of the shadows, away from the people of bipartisan that are her friends.
So after all of that, then I asked, so will you call in? Because she didn't answer the question.
No, of course not, because they can't answer the question. They can't answer the question. Good morning, Matt Boucher.
But, the data centers is one thing, and we're going to get to that because a bunch of farmers and ranchers went to the Capitol on Monday and are urging Governor Abbott to call a special session on data center oversight, which I'm thinking it might happen.
Right.
But, I mean, we already had one pull out of East Texas because they couldn't meet the thresholds that the state had set for data centers. So I would think, I'm not sure what more oversight needs to be done other than these people will feel better because the ones that rallied will feel better because they actually spurred the governor into action and they can call that a victory. But you just had a huge one out in Hutchinson or something, basically say, no, we can't meet the requirements. It's going to cost too much money. We're gone. Meanwhile, just so you know, there's 335 data centers already in the state of Texas.
And there's only 138 more applications. Yeah. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
And what this is, it's all centered around, at this time, a 2013 sales tax exemption. But they're saying the cost of that or I guess the lack of taxes from that, has a balloon from under 15 million to a projected 3.3 billion.
And that's state money, because they're still seeking local exemptions. And I talked to a gentleman over the weekend as we sat on a plane together, and he's a structural engineer, and he lives in an area where they've got 2 data centers out in West Texas. And he also is on the local hospital taxing board. And he says the hospital did not approve a tax abatement for the data centers that went in there, because the fear was a lot of these folks that'll be coming in on the construction side of things won't have insurance. They'll get hurt, and they'll end up having to foot the bill for uninsured. And so they didn't. And he says it's actually generating a lot of income up there for the hospital district, that they're actually their balance sheet's going to be in pretty good shape. 2,500 construction jobs with the data centers, and it'll end up being about 200 permanent jobs, electricians, IT folks, those sorts of folks that are in on that.
James Kurth asked, what percentage of the total water usage in the state is expected to be data centers? Do you know that number?
I have 1%. No idea.
1%. Yeah.
Is that the answer, James?
I think we're having a big kerfuffle
and what
over
happened,
1% of the water.
Yeah. And that was a concern.
Don't flush your toilet so much.
And that was a concern up there. And so what they did is they trucked in the water from somewhere else. They didn't take it out of their water system in that part of West Texas. And
that's fine, right? Bring your own water.
Well, here's
Instead
the one
of bring your boots, bring your water.
Well, ranchers, farmers, rural residents were rallying at the Capitol, according to who's the source on this one? I think it's KTRE.com out of Austin. So, but who's selling the land for these data centers?
The Chinese.
No, they're buying it.
Oh, that's
who's selling it? The ranchers, the farmers, and the rural residents, because they're taking the cash grab. So if you really want to stop the data centers, put the pressure on your neighbors and your friends and your family
not to sell the land,
to data centers. But they realize, geez, I've been working this land for 50 years and I've got 200 head of cattle. And right now the beef industry is going pretty good and I'm making money, but you know what? It's dry and all my corn just dried up because we've had no rain. Somebody
that
comes along
a couple of weeks ago, climate change,
too late for the corn, but somebody comes along and offers you a big fat check for 200 of your 500 acres to put a data center.
I'd rather you put a data center there than those ugly windmills. I'll tell you that on Friday,
doing that.
Yeah, 1% of the water. That's what we're arguing about. It's 1%. Think about that.
Golf courses use more.
Oh, no doubt. Johnny McGarry says, in honor of Brother Gary, good morning, brothers.
And the funny thing is, go to some of these meetings. Everybody in there is drinking a bottle of water.
Yeah. Yeah. Data center water.
Nestle uses probably more water in bottling bottled water for you to consume because for whatever reason, they've done a great job with their lobbyists and their PR firm to tell you, well, tap water's crap. Yep. Yet they pull it out of the tap, run it through a big giant Brita water filter, and then sell it to you at $3 a bottle. It's the biggest
gobble it up.
Stupid racket ever.
Yep.
And you complain about the price of gas, but you're paying like $12 a gallon for drinking water on top of already paying for it when you pay your city water bill.
No doubt about it.
It's ridiculous. And we're arguing about 1% of water.
Yeah, it's not, and it's not like it's going to balloon to 10%.
You know, and James Kerr says it's their land. If they want to sell it, it's their right. And that's exactly
that's what makes Texas, Texas, right?
And this is where, and I think the data center thing can be done, managed correctly. And I'm guessing the new mandates that the governor put in place are working because it's keeping one from coming here, which, you know, I don't know. I'm sure East Texas could use 2,500 construction jobs for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Give it a boost in the arm. But
I've got good news.
But if you truly don't want the government involved in your life, then, and Zed says the argument you're making is the wrong argument. I'd like to know why.
There you go, Zed. Yeah, Ash.
And I'm not for or against data centers.
Draw a line, man. Stand up, make a stand.
I truly believe if we don't, somebody's going to. And Victoria's been complaining for 30 years. We've missed out on all the growth in Texas, and we're taxed to the hilt. Our tax base isn't growing. No other industry's coming here.
They seem to like it when you and I disagree, but if you won't choose a side, I can't go the other way. Hey, some people say we're bipartisan and we talk about these things, and these people are my friends. Me and Ash are absolutely at odds, not friends. And he's like, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I don't know. It's a 1% of the water issue. I think that a more legitimate argument is the fuel usage, the electricity usage. And I also think that it has a lot to do with the noise factor. People that Bruce Woods, thank you, checking in Thailand. It's amazing. By the way, that got here quicker than the signal from the moon when the astronauts wink, wink, really walked on the moon. The data centers are loud and can be, although that technology is evolving. I mean, it's only a matter of time. By the way, Christy Thurman says 1% in gallons is roughly 48
billion?
Yeah, 48 trillion. No, 48 billion.
Almost 49 billion.
I don't know. But you know what? Like you said, you know, we buy things with percentages off, but we pay for things with dollars, you know. So Christy Thurman says so I'm going to guess that Christy Thurman is not pro data center. It's nearly enough water to cover the entire municipal water needs of the city of Austin for a whole year. Okay, but here's the deal. They aren't going away. And as we talked about, it's not AI. You can tie the two together, but it's not AI. It's your Uber app. It's your GPS-driven map applications. If you want to go back to a paper map and you want to go back to either DWI or driving yourself, then we can do away with data centers. But we're not doing away with them. At some point, they're going to be here. So the good news is on Friday, day after mañana, we will have House District 30 State Rep AJ Louderback in studio. So bring your questions. AJ studies ravenously, but I just, I can't see AJ giving you any long-winded answer on data centers. Like you'll ask him because he'll go, correct. And he'll say correct in such a tone that means don't ask me any more about it. No, he'll tell you anything you want to know. So Andrew Rokovich just asked, so Christy, are you saying that the entire city of Austin over the course of an entire year uses less than 1% of the water in Texas? Maybe.
Austin isn't even 1% of the state population. They seem to be overusing water then.
They need to back off. Oh, they're more than 1%. They're not 10%. They're more like 3%. At a million people out of 33 million.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But it's Canadian math. If you discount it versus the dollar, you're right. You're right, buddy.
Christy Thurman says data centers are not going away, whether you are for or against adaptation time.
Adaptation. It's time to adapt.
It is.
I agree.
It is. And Bruce Wood said the same thing. Data centers will be built, period. Why not in Victoria? We've already built 335 in the state of Texas, as pointed out. And there's another 140 of them asking to be built.
Right. And they're trying to capitalize on a sales tax exemption, which is no different than, you ever wonder why airlines are always adding new gates? San Antonio has always been a sucker for that. Southwest Airlines announcing 2 new gates at our terminal. The reason is when the airlines are expanding, they get huge tax benefits on their profit. You know what, Jonathan, you're right. Kendleton, Beasley, those dead towns would be great. And David Ballard points out most cities lose more water due to leaks and, outdated infrastructure. I agree. I know that was the case on on an airline for about a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bruce Woods, why not create those jobs in Victoria? I agree. We need
completely.
the jobs.
No, I agree completely. And then when they come, everybody will complain that housing's unaffordable and
right.
Yeah. So I don't know. But Victoria's going to miss out on the next wave.
I agree, Christy.
Of whatever happens to help Texas and our economy. Victoria's going to miss out on it.
Well, and don't you want the security of having some data centers here in the U.S. because we have become so spoiled and so reliant upon technology that if China controls the data centers and finds a way to just go, well, the next thing you know, we're in chaos over here.
And here's the concern. I'm not sure China isn't controlling some of these data centers. They can't buy the land outright, but you're telling me they're not paying somebody in the U.S. to form an LLC and funneling them some money?
I would.
We know what happens.
I would. There's David Brogger. Good morning.
And I'll be honest, when I had land, if some Chinese farmer before they were outlawed from buying farmland in Texas,
if
they would have wrote me a good check, bye. Absolutely.
How do you say adios in Chinese?
I have no idea. I don't speak Mandarin.
I found a language that you don't speak. You understand it, right? And you can read it, but you just can't speak it. All those years in the gulag.
Look. Yeah. So I don't know.
There's Sheriff Louderback.
But Victoria's going to miss out again on the next wave of economic growth in this state. And we're going to be languishing 20 years from now going, geez, how come we're being overtaxed and we got to do something to try to expand the tax base?
Well, everybody's worried about the farmer and the farmland and this and that and the other thing, but nobody seems concerned that we're putting in solar panel farms
all over the place.
There you go. Bruce Woods comes in with how you say, I can't say it, but you ever had a call from Thailand? You think Bruce Woods ought to call us?
Yeah, should sound normal with today's technology.
Well, that's not the point. Not if he calls and talks Mandarin, it won't sound the same.
Maybe, you know what? There's your mom checking in. Good morning, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Saw my mom at HEB the other day.
Kendleton and Beasley have been hit by urban sprawl. Yeah. Well, Victoria hasn't.
She had a huge basket, Mom. Huge basket, and had a prescription in it.
And you didn't help push her huge basket?
No, she's great. My mom is, and I don't mean this in a negative way. She's fiercely independent. You know what I mean? Like she can do her thing, and that's
good
where I got it. You know, because I can do
have
my
no
thing.
Siblings,
right? Well, that and being a spoiled only child, of course. How did you do it with siblings?
Just a lot of fun.
You were the favorite though, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Should we take a break?
I think we should. People can digest our humor. Folks, White Wing Materials, inviting you to give them a call at 920-SAND. If you want sand, gravel, aggregate, topsoil, clean topsoil to dust your lawn, it raises your lawn, makes it thicker, makes it thicker. It gives you great, healthy lawn. White Wing Materials, Clayton Hilt and his team, eager to serve you. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends.
Yep.
Get by the L&L Grill, have a fish sandwich, have pizza. Great. They have great desserts. I go in there and look at the dessert counter, gain 3 pounds, and leave. But you're supporting 7 local charities.
You want to pay tribute to the brother man after the service tonight. Swing by Palace Bingo and play some bingo because he loved hanging out.
He loved to hang out the bingo parlor.
Didn't play, but he was there a lot.
Yeah, a lot of times you got to go to a bowling alley to meet girls that cute, but it was a bowling alley and now it's a bingo parlor. Go on by. Chestnut Furniture inviting you to come in and look around, whether you need bedding, appliances, furniture, or any
accoutrement.
They have it at Chestnut. Chestnut and Love make your house a home. We actually coined that phrase.
Yep.
But for years, they've said, you just always do better at Chestnut.
And you do.
Paravita Wellness. Today is Wednesday. By tomorrow, you need to get in and buy some of these prepackaged meals. They freeze well, they microwave well, but they have no preservatives. It's amazing how quickly they microwave. No kidding. There's no filler. There's no, right? You put them in, how long? 15 seconds. Yeah, no filler.
I do 3.5 minutes on the big dinners at 70% power.
There you go.
In my microwave, it's perfect.
So you could give it more power, but you choose not to.
No.
Yeah. No, I like that. Paravita Wellness inviting you to get in and get healthy. Erica Briggs says, hey, bring me your blood work. We'll look at it together. She is a dietitian. She can help you. Went Services hiring licensed electricians. Call Went for a new job opportunity where you can also put in Generac preferred dealer, Generac whole house generators, turnkey generator systems put in by Went Services. And then Allen's Wrecker Service.
361-578-6300.
That's right.
Give my call.
Allen's is absolutely the recognized best in the towing industry. Certainly south of San Antonio, all the way to the border. The big trucks call and say, hey, man, we got a load. We don't want to lose this load. Can you help us upright our trailer? And Allen has a 75-ton crane.
Yeah, he's picked up lots of rigs that are turned over sideways and not spilt a drop of anything.
Yep.
Christy Thurman mentions that nuclear energy accompanies these data centers, so more jobs availability. Bruce Wood says data centers use water, but they don't put pellets into the water. They don't put mercury into the water. They don't emit carbon dioxide and other gases.
Even Diane Wilson would approve. Diane Wilson, of course, being the longtime thorn in the side of Formosa Plastics. Huge.
Yeah, I'm not sure she would approve, but
depends. Not on her land. Yeah. It's almost like one of those things where every city needs a landfill, but nobody wants it near their neighborhood or on their property. And I respect that.
And that's the thing. I mean, I think the city just passed an ordinance that, they can't be located within 500 feet of a house neighborhood or something like that. Well, you know what? We've got, I don't know, is there still any room at the Lone Tree Industrial Park where the Victoria College Emerging Tech Center and Caterpillar went? If there's room there, put them there. Or let's figure out an area somewhere along 59, the future interstate, where these could go. Since we're not doing anything to make our interstate attractive here because we've not managed growth properly.
So when you say FIGURE, is it FIG like YUR figure, or is it more like FIGGER figure?
Figure. You pronounce the U.
Okay. I think maybe it's the British that say you can't figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the city's overreacting to some of this stuff. I think you just, if somebody wants to build one too close to homes, you don't allow it. It's that simple. You don't have to approve the variance. Go get them, buy some land somewhere else. But they're not. They're putting them down, and they want to build one somewhere down in proximity. Because the other thing is, and talking to the structural engineer, they're not putting in power plants and then building them 300 miles away because it costs too darn much. They're all in proximity. So if they build a power plant down by the port, they're going to put in a data center near the port.
Yes, absolutely. Michelle Wilson-August says, it's so frustrating. I have such trouble watching your show every day, and the issue is definitely on my end, and I don't know how to resolve it. Cody, are you listening? Every time I click to watch, it will say a couple of words and then go off live. I personally would go in and clear all your search and clear your cookies and then restart your computer.
That's probably part of it.
You're probably
if you're watching on your phone, update the software, maybe. I don't know.
Zed Stewart says, one of the major issues, now Zed, I've determined, is probably anti-data center, is what I'm getting. One of the major issues with data centers is the electromagnetic field that they generate. There are documented cases of it causing domestic animals to abort pregnancies. Well, that's a 2-for-1. I'm happy with that. Neuter your pets anyway. And that field extends well out from the center. That may be the case. I would not argue with Zed. He's a very smart man. But Zed, take off the aluminum foil hat. There's got to be a way to do it. Brent Goen checking in from Argentina.
Wow, we're global today. Thailand and Argentina.
You know how the hypocrisy of what we do with our game warden stuff here. Like you go dove hunting, and I mean, you've seen me shoot. I could shoot 50, 60 shells to get 15 birds. But me shooting 15 birds is nothing because I can go to Argentina, which is in the flyway, or I can go just down into Mexico. And as long as I'm willing to buy them for $1 a shell, I can shoot all the birds I want. Nobody cares.
I know.
The farmers are glad when you kill them. So here's the deal. Brent Goen's in Argentina celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, big guy. And the other day, he got literally tired of shooting ducks.
Ducks or doves?
Ducks.
Okay.
So, yeah, at the end of the day, there's more of them than Americans could ever shoot. It's just we're the ones that, in the name, I guess, of
what do they do with
conservation.
them? They don't bring them back, do they?
No, I think you can. The ducks. Now, I would go through and anything that didn't eat off the bottom, I like to marinate it in a raspberry chipotle and then sear it, believe it or not, medium rare. It sounds kind of gnarly at first because it's a fowl. You think about salmonella by morning, but you just eat it medium rare over a salad. It is unbelievable. There you go. Zed Stewart says his tinfoil hat has saved more people than masks.
True story.
I agree. Jeff Finley, good morning, buddy.
There, Michelle Wilson Hawkins now watching on YouTube. There we go.
You ever have those friends that you're like, we should get together more often? And then, socially, but it just doesn't ever seem to work out? Jeff Finley.
One of those.
Love the guy. I mean, I would hang with him every day. If he lived next door, I'd walk over every day to say hi. But he doesn't. He lives in the town of Bloom.
Well, yeah, it's tough to get there.
Yeah, but if I don't have my aluminum hat, I'm not going down there. I heard they're dropping nuclear waste down there. I'm not going. Bloomington's
Where
like
is it?
Another part of the world.
He's in Bloomington?
Yeah. Well, he's on the outskirts,
Oh.
on the rich suburbs of Bloomington. He has a beautiful place. Great family. Love Jeff Finley. 37 minutes after the hour, according to the iPhone that's being fed through a data center.
So apparently yesterday, but Donald Trump came out and said that Iran asked for the U.S. to stop bombing them. And so that's what led to the slowdown in hostilities over the weekend. And I think it's extended so far into today as well. I've not heard of anything that's happened with us.
The U.S. claiming they're still pursuing diplomatic end to the conflict. There's nobody, not even Iran, is denying that their economy is in dire, dire straits.
Well, only about 10 ships are going through the Strait of Hormuz every day, and that's about 1/10 of what typically goes through there on a slow day. So, yeah. And now Oman wants to talk how they can share in the tolls going through, because obviously their economy is hurting because there's no ships going through there. But I'm more and more convinced now that
I don't know what the analogy is here, but James Kurtz just said, I remember a guy I was sparring with asking me to quit kicking him in the face. And I said, move or block it, bro. Yeah. I think he's getting us ready for college football. If you don't want to get beat 63-0, you better play some defense.
Yeah, learn to tackle, or don't play that team.
Right.
So yeah, I'm more and more convinced that Iran is trying to drag this out because they know
they've got motive.
They do have motive. They know if they can force some sort of regime change, and it won't be in the White House, but if they could somehow, if this could stretch out and become the turning point, you want to talk election meddling, Iran's going to do it here.
Yeah. James Kurtz said that was his metaphor for Iran. See, folks, if the Democrats, and this ought to make you stop, like, cha-ching, stop and think. if one of your parties, I don't care how you feel about the war or the conflict, I don't care how you feel about Donald Trump, the fact that if the Democrats win the midterms, Iran is a direct beneficiary.
Oh, yeah, they win.
The fact that that is the truth should make everyone, including my Democrat friends, and they like me. I have Democrat friends and they like me. I'm a bipartisan person. You should stop and think about your position on things, because the day that the power flips, you'll start hearing rumors of impeachment. You'll see impeachments. It'll just be a quagmire. It'll be gridlock in D.C.
Jordan Glass asks, why are so few ships going through if Iran is so beat up? There's two reasons for that. One is Iran is beat up, but they're still doing enough to disrupt. And you heard over the weekend a ship hit a mine that they laid. Who knows when they laid it, but they're still firing stuff into the strait when they want to, and they can still cause some damage. And
insurance companies
Lloyd's
say you can't go.
And Lloyd's of London is holding them up.
Yeah, that's one of the big issues. You've got to, pick a number, $300 million ship, and you can't go. And Bruce Woods is right, and he's coming at you from an enlightened perspective of being overseas, kind of expat for the last several years. He says it'll be game over for the U.S. if we lose the midterms.
Where's Thailand on the global perspective of the U.S., Bruce? I'm curious as to the folks that you've talked to, not other expats, but the locals in Thailand. What is their feeling towards the United States and to Donald Trump? Do they like him? Do they not? Do they hate us because of it? I'm just curious if you've gotten that feedback, because you would think that, when the World Cup exposed the fact that the people from these other countries don't hate this country, the media has painted that picture that we're the most hated nation on earth. And not only do they love us, they found out the U.S. wasn't a bunch of people with 6-shooters on their hips, or at least in Texas riding horses.
Right.
And they loved being here, and they loved our ranch dressing. Hidden Valley stock went through the roof.
It sure did. And Hidden Valley was genius. They sent it home with them in packets and in airline-friendly bottles.
Yeah.
Genius.
Andrew Alvarez asked, do y'all think the wars are merging into one big war?
Could. The Middle East could be embroiled very quickly. Yeah.
And they have been, but I'm not sure. I don't think the U.S. wants to drag this out. And historically, this hasn't. It's dragged on longer than the president said it would be, because remember, this will be over in 2 to 4 weeks when it first went in there. And we're going into month 5 or 6. It's lasted longer.
It's like building a house. It's like building a house. From the time they pour the slab till the time it looks like a house is just not very long at all. It's that last 10% that takes about half the time. Getting the appliances in, getting the trim in, getting the paint right, doing the punch list. Those are the things that make the war what it is. John Anderson asked a great question, and I just drew a mind blank. Says, since they don't have nukes, what's the most powerful weapon that Iran does have? He's just curious. I'll tell you what I think.
They do have some cruise missiles and interballistic missiles that are mid-range.
Their most important weapon is cyber attack. And it's not that they're the best in the world at cyber attack. That's probably China and or Russia. But they are willing to utilize cyber attack. I was listening to a program this morning early because I do so much show prep. What would you do if you woke up and someone in Victoria had somehow poisoned our water supply? Don't drink the water. Don't do it. Can you imagine the rush on Sam's and HEB? We've got to have water. I'm parched as I speak.
No water, no toilet paper.
Right? They would also buy toilet paper while they were at it. But I hate to tell you, and nobody likes to think about doomsday type things, but if you really want to get a country, back during the Crusades, as armed forces would retreat, they would poison the water so that those following them had no water. And without water, you simply can't go on. You can't press on without water.
Christy Thurman and I are on the same page. I was going to say it's the people and their ability to radicalize a bunch of uneducated
that ain't going to happen in Texas
males who don't have jobs.
Yeah, you let a sleeper cell rear its ugly head in South Texas, and all you're going to see is target practice.
Yeah, but after the fact, that's the problem. You don't know they're a sleeper cell until they do something, or you're lucky enough to find some intel on the dark web, not you, but the FBI or whoever.
Yeah,
the CIA, they're not supposed to do anything on American ground, but we know they do.
Sure, they
but
do.
That's the only way. You don't know a sleeper cell until the federal government comes out and said we busted a sleeper cell before they could do anything because they've somehow got lucky and found their communications on the dark web or using Yahoo mail accounts or whatever they do, or they've actually done something and then you find them. That's the problem. And I agree. It is people, because these folks get radicalized and they will do anything for the cause. It is a cult-like mentality.
True.
And all you have to do is look back to the folks in Waco who died with David Koresh and how committed to that cause they were.
Now, let's nip something in the bud here. So Bruce Woods, clearly getting caught up in the international travel of my signal, said they are in Texas. You are being naive. Now, your first clue that you're mistaken is when you determine that I could be naive. James Kirk doubles down. Clearly, his hearing aids are clogged. Bruce Woods, yes. I'm not saying they're not here. I'm not saying that we don't have cultists among us. I'm saying if it turns into open season on Haji, it's over pretty quick. That's what I'm telling you. I'm not saying they're not here, and you're exactly right. They may be dumb enough to just come out in the open. I mean, if they went to our mall and started shooting it up, they'd maybe inadvertently hit 2 or 3 people.
Maybe.
Those walkers, those pesky walkers. Why is it that every time I'm walking into a store, here comes one of those pesky walkers?
They walk faster than you think.
I feel like, take a charge. I feel like LeBron James with the flop.
Just fall down like soccer players.
And James Kirk goes, you didn't have to completely backpedal. I was playing. He goes, I'm just agreeing there are sleepers in Texas. There's no doubt. No doubt.
They're all over the U.S. because of our terrible and it's not. And you can't just blame the Biden administration, although they held a hand in it.
Right.
But our immigration laws have been terrible for 47 years since the fall of Iran.
Correct.
And we let a bunch of them come here when Iran fell to the Ayatollah back in 79, and I'm sure a few of them probably got in who weren't very good people.
Ricky King very astutely, he goes, I'm not saying it's going to be a gunfight. He goes, they're going to move in and take over the country by being elected in politics.
Well,
look at Mamdani, look at Ilhan Omar.
And I hate to say it, but probably about 20 years ago, Glenn Beck was still on the radio before he went off with his own Blaze network. And he warned of the caliphate, but it wasn't going to be obvious. They were going to come here. They were going to take over our school systems, our elections. It was a long game. And he was labeled crazy. He was labeled racist.
And he was labeled a conspiracy nut.
Yeah. Kicked off his network. He had to form his own.
He's still right today.
I'm not a huge Glenn Beck fan, but you know what? I can't say he was wrong.
Yeah.
They have played the game the way he said they were going to play the game. They were going to infiltrate our systems.
And they outbreed us. James Kerr's absolutely right. You see that the birth rate among Americans is not sustaining our population, which is not good for older people like me who intend to live to be really, really old. They're going to run out of Social Security.
Well, on the flip side, if they're here, paying taxes and FICA, then they are paying into your Social Security. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, hope so. Let's take that final break. Folks, we talked about the First State Bank of Louise. I did not mention free checking, free savings, truly free. If you do it, if you bank online, you can get by with no checks. That's an expense. No mailed out monthly statement, which is an expense. And you can literally bank for free. There's no minimum balance. It's a perfect tool to teach your child financial responsibility.
And if you sell your land to a future data center and you want to go build a house somewhere else, construction loans at
They do
First State
that.
Bank of Louise.
It's
One
called
of the few in the area that are doing it.
It's called O Wednesday. Get into Veracruz today and celebrate. Have a bowl of Caldo de Res on your way to Brother Gary's services, 3:00 Community Center. Veracruz inviting you to come in for the best caldo and the full menu. Today is actually the broadest menu day at Veracruz.
It is, because everything that's printed in the menu is available today.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then USA Foundation Repair, Charlie Garcia, the singing cowboy, will come out and give you a free estimate. Do you know this? You may not know this. We created the free estimate. Originally, it was not a free estimate, but we started chatting about it being a free estimate, and so many people called that they decided, well, what the heck? We might as well do a free estimate. Yeah. And now Charlie himself, I heard him on another channel the other day, not doing nearly as good a job of promoting his business as we do, saying, hey, we'll come out and give you a free estimate. We'll give you a timeline. That way, when we'll make inspections, take pictures, and when that crack gets bigger, when we've seen homes, Ash, where, the back right corner of the house is literally sinking. Yeah. Charlie can solve that problem for you before it gets out of hand and cracks your in-slab pipes.
Yeah. I mean, before about the house I'm in now, before we actually looked at another house, and it had some serious foundation issues.
Absolutely.
That's why we didn't get it, because I didn't even have to call Charlie to know it was going to be a problem. Jonathan Williams says, we've had sleeper cells since the Cold War. They never went away. I mean, if you
they died though. Some of the Russian sleeper cells have all died off.
Well, I am. Don't be so.
You still worried about Russia? Russia's a non-factor.
No, not really. But again, and I've read this book, and it's eye-opening from a global perspective. All the Shaw's Men. Go if you can find it. It's on Amazon, or was on Amazon. I'm sure it's still available. Go read it, because it will really give you a backstory into the modern. And I'm not using it as it's not an excuse for why the Ayatollah and the IRGC and the radicals that have taken over Iran do what they do, because it's just about power. They will use us as the scapegoat for their actions. But it does give you an interesting, I mean, you want to talk about sleeper cells. We were a sleeper cell in Iran in the 40s and 50s, undermining their democracy.
That's right.
And installing the Shah. And then we also had a hand in his
removal. A more manageable radical. And when you read, and
we wanted the oil. That's what we wanted.
Him with money. Yeah. When you read a book like All the Shaw's Men, does it make it more or less plausible to you that there actually is some configuration globally of what I like to call like the Trilateral Commission that we used to hear about when I was a kid? Now, of course, it's admitted that there is such a thing, but think
it's the
tank,
New World Order now, right?
Well, absolutely. So, I mean, do you agree that there's a think tank where maybe you've got political rivals like a Bezos and Bill Gates and Bill Clinton back in the day when he was still really sharp mentally? I'm not saying he's not now, but there was a time that Bill Clinton was a global thinker. He was very sharp. In fact, he brokered a deal with Yasser Arafat that would have given the Palestinians everything they ever wanted. And
Hamas
he basically admitted, we don't really want all that. We just want to kill all the Jews. That's really what Yasser basically told Bill Clinton. Yeah. At the end of the day, is it hard to get your head around what I believe is the fact that there are forces at work that, much like the cartel, and AJ Louderback can tell you stories about this, the cartel operates globally with no eye towards geographic borders.
No.
I believe that
they use the borders to their advantage.
And I believe that there are leaders, greedy, opportunistic, maybe some of them even well-meaning, that do the same thing to manipulate global politics.
Well, they always have. Instead of just going and attacking the neighboring country like we used to up until the 1900s and
right.
World War I and World War II. But even as the 1900s came along, we became more subversive. And then you look at what happened through in Central and Latin America, and the role the U.S. played that we really didn't know much about until it all unfolded with Iran-Contra and other dealings with Noriega and Panama and all that stuff, right?
Right.
The U.S. has played that role for a long time, but so have other countries. And even the fall of the Shah in 79, the Ayatollah took over, but there was some movement, I think, from England that they weren't happy with the Shah and help him be removed. So, I mean, but it happens, but
okay.
I don't know that it's happening anymore to that degree.
Upbeat moment.
Yeah.
And we've talked about, now my wife says, Dawning, T-Lat, says some things are sacred. You can't do your parody songs over George Strait. It's just not right. But Salmonella by morning just writes itself, right? The lettuce and sitting on the throne. I mean, I could just do it off the top of my head, right? But the other one is, you remember the group, I think it was The Knack, and the album Ayatollah, right? We could do that too. Okay, we'll get with AI on those things and get back to you. It probably violates all types of copyright laws.
I'm sure it does.
But hey,
live on the edge. Worked for Weird Al.
Yeah, he must have paid royalties for that. What did John Anderson ask you?
Back to Iran, what does their closest neighbors think of their actions? Do they have any support from anyone at all? Well,
no, they've got no support, but everybody's mad at them because every time.
Yeah, Yemen is helping them out with the Houthis because they back them. And I'm sure the Palestinians or the Hamas backs them, but they're laying low because they've got enough issues.
They've been bombed enough in Gaza.
Yeah. They're just grateful that Israel's attention has turned to Iran and in other areas and the Houthis in Yemen and Hezbollah in Lebanon. So they're kind of sitting this one out because Iran was one of the greatest financial backers of Hamas.
But see, here's what you got to look at. James Curtis says, look, Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, you know what they all have in common? They're all targets of Israeli aggression. Israel's been bombing all of those places a lot. And then you throw out all the places like Bahrain and stuff where we have bases, and Iran's been bombing them. So we kind of have a de facto regional skirmish going on. I've never understood the deal. If I walk over and punch you in the mouth and you go, oh, yeah, well, I'll show you, and you walk across the street and punch your neighbor, that doesn't make any sense because the neighbor's my friend. I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. The Iranians are cowards, and all terrorists are cowards. They rule through fear.
Well, and think about how we used to deal with them in the 70s when they would hijack a plane. I mean, the Israelis would storm the plane.
And that, you know what the Israelis did? They worked at a zero-sum game. They assumed everybody on the plane is dead. So if you just go in and you kill all the bad guys and 3 people walk off the plane, that's a huge victory. And it is a huge deterrent. Number one, those guys will never rob a plane again. And number 2, you need to understand that if you landed anywhere near the Jews, they're going to kill you. You're held up.
Heck, you don't even have to be near them. What was the one where I think in Uganda one time they landed and they pretended to be Idi Amin and his party?
Killed them all.
And used a Mercedes that they made look like an official car to get to the plane and kill the hijackers.
Coach, but the Jews are crafty.
But that's the problem. We started dealing, Donald Trump says he won't, Donald Trump says he won't negotiate with terrorists. The problem is we've negotiated with terrorists for far too long as a world, and it gave them their opportunities.
Here's your new Wade and Carter beeper. Be sure and put it near your genitalia, okay?
All right.
And don't worry, that little bit of liquid in there, it probably won't ignite when I call you. Yeah. Don't mess with the Jews, people. They're not messing around.
No. James Curtis says Lebanon, Gaza, Yemen, to name a few. What is the other thing they have in common? They're led by Shiites who are extremists and radical, and they're using the Quran to their advantage, and they don't want people to have any rights. They want to keep people down,
especially women and homosexuals. You want to talk about the closet getting full? Be a gay guy in a Muslim-driven country. Everybody acts like all these religions are the same. Go to Frisco. Unbelievable. Folks, we've reached the top of the hour. Ash, it is so much more fun having you in studio.
It's been fun.
It is.
A couple more days of it.
By the way, this is day 2, 3 of Jewel Buchanan Watch. We'll see if Jewel ever has the courage to represent her party. She's the leader of the Democrat Party of Victoria County. You can't be timid and be a leader. Folks, have a great day. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.